Hey, little Mikey, round 2. Hey guys, round 2. Can you guys hear me? Last time there was audio trouble, so I'm really hoping. Hey guys, welcome. Welcome back. Do some waving here. Wait as everyone comes in. Welcome, guys. Audio's great? Yes, thank you. Oh my goodness. I just had to, perfect. Yeah, awesome. Welcome, guys. That was a me thing. So it was my phone. For some reason, it's boring, but it records voice memos, but it doesn't do voice notes. Welcome. Cool. Everyone's coming in. So this is just going to be a SKYTHIEF Q&A. It could be a life Q&A. Yeah, we can jump right into it. Why not? We're crushing it. Top 5 on publishing and fiction, thanks to you guys. So I just wanted to say, hey, it's a beautiful day out, and so I figured we'd be out here near the hummingbird feeder, so we might get dive bombed in a second. I can give you guys kind of a little tour maybe of my writing zone. I thought that may be kind of a fun thing. But mostly it's just kind of generates some excitement. And sometimes, aside from going to San Diego Comic-Con, I don't get to see anyone. So this is my pseudo way of getting to see everyone. So I think I saw some other awesome writers. I saw, yes, Brianna Winner is here too. So she knows as well that it's very easy to get lost in Kylene. A lot of you guys I know who are also writers, it's easy to get lost in being stuck behind a computer. Yes, welcome. Thanks, guys. So let's just start it off. Less about me. What you guys have any questions about SKYTHIEF? I'm going to open it to that to start with, or about Run Saga Book 5. We can always talk about that. We can talk about anything. So basically, and then I can kind of go into my side of it, which is some spoilers on what's going on in the SKYTHIEF side of it and all that. So yeah, does anyone have questions as people join in? Audio is clear. That is good to know. We got a lot of cool people here. Ooh, good question. Hey Adam, it's good to see you. How do the powers work in the new book? Can't tell you. No, I was kidding. That'd be the worst Q&A ever. Every single time you guys ask me a question, I just say, just read it and figure it out. Hummingbird's coming. So the powers work. They are, hey, Carson, awesome podcaster. Check him out, Troy Online, too, if you want to check that really good podcast out. So Adam asked how the powers worked. They're elemental based. So you'll see a lot of tie over there. That's one of the first clearest ties from Farhaven and the Ronin Saga to SKYTHIEF. Wind, water, fire, stone, moon, sun, flesh, and metal. But there's even some other elements. So we start to wonder, is this a story that takes place before or after or multidimensionally? Is there something that Farhaven inhabitants are missing? Are there elements that they don't know about, or are those elements gone now? The magic works in a bunch of other ways too. So aside from having extra elements, there's very clear a progression fantasy. So I don't know. Pause for a second there. Does anyone know, I don't know if you guys know progression fantasy, if you guys read like anything from, there's a lot of really great progression fantasy out there, like Will White's Cradle series. So, Mike, yeah, so SKYTHIEF is basically similar to other books, right? Like their powers. Yeah, it's pretty similar. Wind, water, fire, stone, moon, sun, all that good stuff. But they use it. There's a lot more manipulation of, for instance, one of Dren's things is they're able to tie magic into items more. So one of the items that Dren gets early on is a arsenal glove, which is this kind of like almost steampunky glove that he puts on that allows him to, and he gets it from basically our modern world, our world essentially. And as a result, he can take this thing and put different kind of capsules in the back of the wrist and use it to project out. For instance, one of the things he gets immediately early on, and then he breaks it, is like a grappling hook. So he can like put it on the back of the thing, and it can be kind of a pseudo Spider-Man-y thing where you can kind of grappling hook and use like this steel cord to wrap up a creature early on. And then you can put different things in the back of it. So, and then as a result, those items even end up leveling. So we notice that magic is not just related to the person and their inside stuff, but and their internal ability, but items, armor, weapons have the ability to level up. And there's more too. I'm missing some things, but I can go more detailed. So Buddhist monk asks, you said we potentially have. It's not too marbly, no. I mean, I guess you kind of can see the what's his name's glove, whatnot. Yeah, whenever thinks of glove, they think of snapping fingers and all that, but it's a little different. Before I get distracted, you said we potentially have high tier crossovers. Are we talking about arbiter levels or more like Ronin? Good question. It is more like Ronin levels. So there's definitely going to be some, at the highest levels, individuals who can cross from the Realm Walkers, as we know, Realm Walkers, even kind of hinting on that, to Farhaven and back and forth. And so we might actually get potentially even some cameos of some of our favorite characters. So that's my favorite thing. If, the original intention was to hide it, and then by the very end, you'd be like, oh my gosh, Farhaven's there. But I couldn't. So you are probably going to see some of your favorite characters not too far away. Kylene asks, so you can, so this can normalize magic more in your world? Yes, people do. In this world, actually, magic is a little bit, Spark is even more. We know in Farhaven, it's just Reavers, and it's just Ronin, and it's just Davari, and there's a lot of people who use magic, but it's fairly elite. In this world, almost everyone can use magic to varying degrees. But if you have very weak magic, you're unranked, and they have the ranking system, as we know. Hey, Nicole, welcome. We're talking about SKYTHIEF and the magic that exists in the world. Starts at copper, and then it goes to bronze, then silver, then gold, then diamond, then warden, then guardian, then eternal. Thanks, Nicole. I should show you guys this. There's literal hummingbirds dive bombing everywhere. Matt Mears, welcome. This is great. I'm so excited to see everyone. Such a good move. I hope I'm making sense, because I've just been at a Comic-Con for 5 days straight, and so many cool new people and returning fans, and but I don't know if I'm making sense at this point. So hopefully I finished answering questions. But yeah, magic is much more normalized in this world. Dren, we find out, actually has there's two things we realize in this world, and it's something that we may tie back into Farhaven, but magic is how much you can use Spark. We know how much you have. And then there's channels, how much you can actually get out. Kind of like veins, how much blood we have in our system, and channels, how much veins, how much it can kind of pump through our body. So in this world, I'm going to answer that question in a second. That's a good question, little Mikey. In this world, it's all about how can are your channels open enough to be able to cast? So you can have all the magic in the world, which we find out what Dren has, our main character has. He has the high ability, he has latent magic, but he has no channels, so he can't get it out. So it's like a full canteen of water with no spigot. I don't know. That's an okay analogy. There's another good question here. Also, hello, Ledisma and Sonia Baker. Let's do some waves. All right. So Adam asked before, is it safe to assume that since more elements exhaust, that wind will be more prevalent? Also, does that mean everyone in this world has access to magic? Yeah, so everyone has potential in this world, unlike Farhaven, where there's some people who don't have... Everyone has Spark, but some people just can't wield it, and some people can. Everyone has the potential in this world. Magic seems much more pervasive. But, as we can see in the World Tree, which is one of the stories I posted earlier, the different realm, so we start in kind of this Viking-esque realm. That realm has no magic, or very little magic. So everyone is it's less magically dense. So everyone starts as kind of a copper rank. The realm above that, from this Viking-esque kind of, with wolves and, giant, very, everyone's wearing fur pelts and stuff like that. The realm above, when they climb the tree, which is transmission, kind of jumping all over the place, is a realm very kind of Asian-inspired, Chinese, Japanese, so forth. And that realm was more magically dense. And so as they climb the tree, the worlds get more magically dense, and the people get more stronger with their abilities. And thus the monsters and other creatures also get a lot more dense and strong. So, welcome, Zonez. Yes. All right. So great questions on SKYTHIEF so far. So it's really about this kind of young rapscallion 18-year-old, 19-year-old who has to fall into this new realm, and is just has to be cunning in the beginning. Gray has power, and Dren has all of it locked away. And a lot of it's also about his being an engineered human, and so he's unlike everyone else. Same thing, there's something else missing. He has this engineered abilities to make him stronger. If anyone's ever watched Gattaca, he's basically a Gattaca character, but like a broken Gattaca. So he was engineered to be taller, faster, stronger, all these things, but he's not. All he has is purple hair and purple eyes, and so something is off, and something seems dark off about him. So we get to figure out that ties in with this blocked channels of his as well. So what are all these things that he has? Why can he not cast magic? And why is he a broken, engineered human being? And so as a result, it's going to potentially, small spoiler alert, catapult him to be very, very, hopefully, potentially weak forever, or he's going to break through this barrier and become something more, something really special. So progression fantasy, as we know, is really about how can this character get stronger, faster, and have this clear distinctions going from silver and gold and onward. Yeah, Gattaca's a classic. If anyone hasn't watched Gattaca, you should go watch that. Welcome, Lelicorn, and Amy. Welcome. Awesome. This is great. This is awesome. I should do lives more. If I'm not making sense, if I'm making 90% sense, that's good. Maybe I'm intentionally 10% mysterious. Sonia asks, I wonder, are any of your characters based off some of the people you know? Or you've completely created them out of nothing? They're probably not. No, it's totally the right word. People I know versus... Everyone asks this, and it's a great question. Oh, great. There's lots of good questions coming in. Hi, Amy. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. We're crushing. I haven't even looked at the Kickstarter in a while. I turned it off, so I wasn't going to get notifications while we were chatting. Hey, Steven. So glad to meet you in New York. Yeah, thank you. I'm so glad. Yeah, it's... I'm glad I did New York. That was the first one I've done in New York, and I met so many cool people. We'll be back there in October. So the question is, are the characters based off anyone I know? Hopefully, if there's any bad characters, no, just kidding. I wouldn't tell anyone if there were, but there aren't. Not so much. A lot of the characters that are in the world, if they have some kind of real world application in my life, it's because it's subconscious. If I have a friend who's kind of quirky and irreverent. I don't have a Darius friend in my life. I kind of wish I did. I'd like to be like Darius. I always say when people ask what am I like, I'm kind of maybe 60% Gray, 10%, 20% Darius, making irreverent jokes, and then I don't know, Mura, who knows, someone grumpy. At least when my blood sugar's low. No, not really. So not too many of the characters, but the one thing that's pretty interesting about how real life comes into the story, is it? Oh my God, 9,300. That's amazing. Paro, what's up? I love the the triple swords. To kind of give you the kind of the full answer to this, Sonia, is that the coolest probably part and the most interesting part and the most vulnerable part is that I become a lot of the characters in a way. At least my mood reflects on it. So a lot of book 2, as a lot of people know without too many spoilers, if you're new to the saga, I won't give too much away. It's about Grey's journey beginning into Farhaven and joining and finding the others. And so I was very kind of young and I was excited. It was a new adventure for me. And it was a new adventure for the characters. And it reflects that kind of youth. But this kind of like, it got gritty at times. And, I was, growing in myself. And then book 3, I had actually some moments too when I was like, I had some writer's block. I had some other stuff. Welcome, Marcy Quinn. We're talking about how the characters are like my friends or like me. And then more SKYTHIEF questions. Feel free to ask any questions as we're doing this. Hey. So Dakota says hi. Hi. Yes. Hey, Dakota. Dakota should jump on. And my brain is like 16 different places. So yeah, I started writing book 3, but I got a little bit of writer's block. So I went to actually Spain for a month. Right, little Mikey? Yeah. Super, super common. Writing for 12 years, it's just going to happen. But I found ways around it. And so much of what it is about being in a good space yourself. And you may love your story, but you have to truly believe it's like going in a good direction. If you doubt it, which is so easy, I think that's what a lot of writer's block is. It's basically doubt, right? It's not much more complicated than that. Hey, Missy. Hey, Dakota. Dakota says hi. Now Dakota's here. That's even better. So we're talking about SKYTHIEF, and we're talking about the new book and writer's block. And ultimately, full circle to you have been summoned. Welcome. Love it. Hi guys. It's so cool to see everyone, people who I can see tomorrow and people who are across the US, who I'll hopefully see at future conventions. So if you're following the train of thought, we are answering the question of how are my characters like my friends or like me? And so I'm mentioning how the characters are like me. Some of my friends, it's subconscious how they become a lot of that. But the biggest way is they're like me because your personality and your mood, I think, is kind of subtly imbued into what happens to the characters. And so when I was writing book 3, I'll come back to Chicago, definitely. When I was writing book 3, I had writer's block. And so I went to Spain, to Barcelona for a month and a half. And you can see that Grey has these moments of doubt. But when I started writing book 4, I was in such a good place. I was so excited to get Grey away from his kind of thing that was plaguing him. And you can see it. Like, there's just, I don't know, I think. I'm not supposed to have a favorite book. Welcome, Ben. But as the series progresses, and you are feeling confident with where it's going, you can see my characters reflect that. And so, Grey's happy. I'm happy. I don't know. Hopefully that answers that. Did that answer that? Cool. More questions. Hey, Ben. I'm definitely going to come back to Chicago, Amy. That was so fun. It's, there's C2E2's coming up. So I'll keep you guys in the loop with that. Yeah, some more questions. What's any other questions about my life, my writing? We're in the backyard right now. I got my pool table. Book 3, it's all right. I will tell you guys this since you're here and you're on the live. A lot of people's is book 1, right? It's the first book. You get introduced to characters. It's kind of like anytime you're first introduced to something, it holds a special place in your heart. For me, though, book 2 was 6 months, so it's really hard not to love book 2 because it was just purely in the moment, falling in love with the characters, writing 8 hours a day, doing nothing else, saying no to friends if I was having to go out because I was just had to crush this book. My favorite usually ends up being the thing that's the most recent. So book 4 is the most recent. And I just love how the characters are progressing. So it's not so much I love a book more, kind of. I like book 4 the most right now, a little bit. Book 2 is probably second, then book 1, then book 3 a little bit. But a lot of that was just, it's like, if you're writing something poetically and it's hard and it's heartbreaking, you can like infuse this beauty into it, but you can still be like, oh man, I don't know if I want to read that again, because it was like, there were some hard moments in there that were reflective of my life that, that Gray had to overcome. Welcome, Scotsman. How do you progress your story? Ooh, check this out. We got it went away. Hummingbird. How do I progress my story? The characters are progressing now, I know where they're going. I know their motivations and their actions. And once you clearly have the characters' kind of ideals out, I know it's just because there's so many potentials opened up. Like Missy says, love book 4 and potentials open for book 5. Hey, Mary J. When you know where it's going and where you're excited, when there's so many more options and the characters become so much more full-fledged and so many the dynamics, and you can make inside jokes, and you have thief lords and the Ronin, and they're finding the elemental swords. There's so much to build upon, so it's so hard not to love the future of what it is. And it's like you may love the tiny house you grew up in for its like charm and its cuteness and its abode, but like it's pretty cool to have a swimming pool and to have a backyard or to whatever. It's just the avenues that continuing the series has progressed, and the depth of the character. I love watching the arcs. And Tim is not going to be narrating SKYTHIEF. He is amazing. He's one of my favorites. But he's going to continue with the saga forever. But we're probably going to have Michael Kramer and do SKYTHIEF, who does Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archives, as you guys know. And then I still have the map you let me get when you were at Ventura Comic-Con. Wow. Trying to get my kids to read the books. That's so cool. Ventura Comic-Con is I don't know if you guys know, I was the first Comic-Con I ever went to. There's some other really good questions here. Yeah, thanks, Jack. I'm glad Michael Kramer's awesome too. Do you guys have a favorite one of the books? I forgot to ask that. Put it in the comments if you have a favorite. If it's starting out with book 1 because it's the first one, book 2 going to Farhaven and going to the city of Farbs, book 3. I'm going to talk about Farhaven the whole time. And now we're talking about SKYTHIEF. But tell me in the comments what your favorite of the series was. And I'll answer some more questions. But I also want to know, if you guys, I know a lot of you guys have already backed the Kickstarter. So far, 1, that makes sense. you're about, you're 30. 1's just, it's 8 years of my life into it. And so it's, someone came by the table last con with Con before, and a lot of times they bring their book, either to get it signed, but he brought his book that had been signed 3 years ago, and he's read it 6 or 7 or 8 times, and all the black thumbprint on it on the side. So it was it's pretty cool to see like literally how many times someone's read it. Had to be book 1 since it's the first and what got me hooked. Yeah, that totally makes sense. And that's what it is for me for all my fantasy too. I love them all. It's hard to pick. Thank you. Book 4, I think, though I missed. Oh, one character. Yeah, there's one character that's MIA. Book 1? Yeah. It's super, super common. I totally it seems to be book 1 and book 4. Probably a lot lately because book 4 is a lot of people, they just finished it. So there's a good question here. Loudest snorer you've ever met. Oh, he's making a joke because I stayed with one of his really good companion, his buddies who was doing a convention with me, and he stayed in the hotel room, and he snored so loud that I thought I could swear it was a joke. It was louder than that. I don't want to do it. It was very loud. For real though, which stretch goal are you most excited to unlock? The one I'm most excited to unlock, I love physical. I like the metal bookmarks and all that. I don't even know. Someone let me know what we're at right now too. I know someone just said 9,000 something. I love the interior artwork and the illustrations and all that, but I think the one I'm most excited for I'm excited for the short story. I would love to get there. I think it's a really cool short story. I don't know if I'll have the time to write it if we don't reach that one. But yeah, that one's exciting. So it's a cool short story to get a little Sky Thief. And it has a lot of connections from Sky Thief to Farhaven. So I think it's really cool. Some really good answers here. I love Michael Kramer, Kate Reading. They did fantastic. I agree, Kylene. How did I come up with Sky Thief? I was writing something that was on the side, and I just started falling in love with kind of the backstory, these kind of hidden things in Farhaven that I haven't told anyone. And an agent wanted to read it and loved it. And so I was going to actually just do submit through Orbit or through a few other ones. And then I was like, you know what? I love this story. I know people I want to get it to people as quickly as possible. And and here we are. And Sky Thief was created. And it was tough too because book 5 is fully fledged. It's so good. I love they're going back to the City of Flesh, and here I am talking about book 5 again of the Rowan Saga, Sky Thief. But it's so fun. But this was so fun to start with something brand new in a series. Take all the craft that I've learned, learning how to really, really create a huge character arc, and progression fantasy is so fun and so popular right now. So it's a bunch of questions, and Tide's got me hooked. Nice. Book 4 has been my favorite since Buddhist Monk. A lot of stuff has been inspired from D&D campaign, especially teleportation. I know, right? Hey, Avrella, what's up? What's the most powerful element in this new realm? The leather map it does sound really cool, analytics. What's up, Wimmy Bear? Cool, we were crushing this. I fear we'll probably go, sorry, pause for a second. Dren, spoiler alert. Cover your ears if you don't want to hear this. Turn the mic off. But Dren's power, I'll tell Dren's power. Dren's power is the one of the elements we've seen so far. It's Moon. And Moon is really cool. So you get to see the ways that the Ronin have not quite used their elements. There's a lot of ways that in book 5 and book 7 we'll see that are being used in Sky Thief that will be used in the Ronin Saga. So there's ways that Moon is used, and it's so cool. It's one of my favorite elements. It's all about him being able to, of course, teleport and do other things like that. Thank you. I know I'm excited about my books. It's contagious. It's definitely a good problem to have. So Moon is so fun. It's for instance, there's kind of a portaling effect. If everyone ever played the game Portal, he can open up a kind of sphere of Moon one place and then open it up somewhere else, and then be able to reach his hand through and to grab something somewhere else and pull it in. So it's pretty cool to see a character do something that we haven't seen before like that. And then, for instance, you can even there's some gravity stuff, and kind of because the Moon, tides, all that, so he can actually lessen his weight to jump farther and do things like that. So we're going to start seeing these kind of superhuman-esque powers be slowly introduced, kind of our, extra human powers be introduced into Farhaven. Good questions. There's a few other ones there. Oh, Varo asks, what do I consider your favorite book series not named The Rowan Saga or The Realm Walkers? Yeah. Not shameless plugging. I would say my favorite, Amber's back. Welcome. Yeah, it'd be a bad sign if I wasn't excited about my own book. And honestly, it's there's been, right, like I said, when I was writing book 3, it was tough. So there's been moments where it's been tough. But it's been really fun to have these characters, as we do in life, have moments where they have grown, and they've grown on me, and they have kind of created this path and created so many awesome readers. And so it's really amazing to watch these characters kind of grow and kind of, as I instill all my passion into it, and then it instills all this passion into other people, it's kind of this this circle, this feedback loop, I guess you could say. So my favorite book series outside, obviously I love Wheel of Time. Obviously Stormlight Archives, and Sanderson is great. He's super quick and actiony and good. And this is going to answer Ledesma's question as well. What books have inspired me? But yeah, I would say that, Wheel of Time was one of my first ones. Sword of Truth. I loved Wizard's First Rule. I loved a character who was honorable and good and did the right thing. So that was super fun. Yeah. And bye, Missy. So glad you got to stop in. And I can't wait for book 5 too. Thank you. I'm so glad. I'm glad to at least catch as many people as I can. And if you haven't, check out the Kickstarter. I'll be back. I'll be doing more of these. I'll probably put some mention on the Kickstarter too of maybe every Thursday, and as long as the Kickstarter goes on for. I don't know if you guys like that. I want to do a giveaway on the next one too, so definitely join when we do next one. But yeah, there's some other ones that that started me when I was younger. I liked a lot of Brent Weeks, the Nine Anal trilogy. But when I was a kid, it was Wheel of Time. That was it. But now I'd say it's just, I don't know. There's a lot of fantasy that I love. I'm getting into progression fantasy a lot. If you guys haven't read progression fantasy, you should really check out. So Will White is amazing. Actually, I'm going to do a little he read The Knife's Edge about 6 or 7 years ago, maybe 5 years ago when it first came out, and he really enjoyed it. And I messaged him after I'm kind of backpedaling. So he wrote this series called Traveler's Gate series, 3 books. And I messaged him and was like, hey, the Traveler's Gate series is really good. He's like, no way, I read your Knife's Edge and it inspired me to do Traveler's Gate. And then he came out and did this series called the Cradle series, and it's just crushed it. It's an amazing series. Really, really proud of him. And so I was like, oh my gosh. So anyways, progression fantasy has been my new kind of, I've been really enjoying it, watching these characters very clearly be underdogs and have to have these powers that they have to assume, and there's a advancement, as we know, in Grey, Ava, and Darius's world, but in this world it's very, very clear how they have to get stronger, how they have to overcome these crazy obstacles, and they literally, as they go from one rank to another, their toxins will purge, they will manifest, they'll physically, you'll see a change in their body and their height and their face, and so it's kind of cool to watch them. It's almost like video game-esque kind of feel without being video gamey. So to this day, Robert Jordan's words still inspire me. The television adaptation is good too. Yeah, it's not the same as the books, I agree, but yeah, it's pretty good too. So we'll probably do another maybe a few minutes here. I won't keep you guys too long. But any last questions, feel free to shoot them out. And then I have a little of an announcement, so if you stay to the end. Have you thought of authoring some D&D adventures? I have thought about doing that. That'd be maybe a cool reward, or just a thing for Patreons. I think I'm going to do one for Patreons probably in the next month or two. I couldn't do it to too many people. Obviously, as we know, a good D&D adventure is 4 to 8 people tops. Anything more than that just becomes pure chaos. There's a lot of good questions here. Keep writing them. I'll try to get as many as we can. But we're actually doing a D&D campaign. Hey, hey, Lila's here. Hey, how's it going? One of the big things I wanted to mention with there's that. Yeah, what was the most fun part of writing SKYTHIEF? It's definitely I'm gonna answer that one. But yeah, we're gonna do a D&D campaign probably coming out here soon. What's up, Troy? My most fun part. So one of the biggest things is this kind of going to different ranks and going up the tree and having to get this kind of very powerful Seraph's key at the very top, this kind of genie, and get it before this essentially eviler, whatever your political stance is, Jeff Bezos has to get it. This kind of very rich who in this story seems to go from world to world and kind of eats them up, soaks them up. And so that was really fun, this kind of duality between these characters, this kind of like very poor urchin boy, only to find out that there's something inside of him that's very similar. And that why is he an engineered human, and how did he become this kind of character? And so loved writing that underdog story, and always trying to find a creative way for him to get out of a pickle, because he was out of his depths. The other thing is that Kylene said chaos. Mathematician, what's up? Hey. All right. I'm glad everyone's coming for the last few minutes here as we answer the final questions. If there's any, as I mentioned, final questions, shoot them over and I'll answer them now. The biggest thing, though, is probably the dynamic of these gods of chaos. So there's a god of chaos, a god of balance, a god of life, and a god of death. And this dynamic in the series is so cool to see these highest tier things. And it's really fun to see a god of chaos, this giant dragon that takes over all the sky. How this character can kind of even remotely compete with that. And then, of course, the second favorite part of SKYTHIEF is how the Easter eggs of the magic system, and how the characters that can go from Farhaven to the Realm Walkers to the 2 series, how they can interact. So it was really fun to Easter egg the world and to get people excited who are brand new to Farhaven, into Farhaven, and who are readers of Farhaven into SKYTHIEF. So I think I did a really good job that you will feel like you're returning home, but you also feel like you have a really cool new world at the same time, if that makes sense. Hopefully I did both. So I'll answer like 2 or 3 more questions. There's a few more people here. Check out SKYTHIEF if you haven't yet, guys. Where are we at? Are we close to funded? Does anyone know? I'm out back. 93? 93, says my assistant and friend and companion. 93%. Heck yeah. My favorite character in SKYTHIEF, besides the main character. So I mentioned a few times Dren is one of my favorite characters. He's super fun, and because he's an underdog character who has to be clever and has no power and ultimately gains a lot of power. Spoiler alert, because these progression fantasies are really how fast can they advance. But my favorite character other than that is probably Tressa. She's the character that Dren runs into pretty early on, who I had no anticipation. He's running down this hill being chased by these giant gnats. That's what he thinks he's like, I'm going to go learn and get stronger and train, and he's pointed that he has to kill a gnat. And he's like, oh my God, are you serious? Like, that's my level of competency. I can only be killing a gnat. And he actually gets his butt kicked to him, by the gnat. So it's kind of a fun twist of fate. And then as he's running down the hill from these gnats, it's fun to take it kind of like next level humor with it too. He runs into Tressa, and Tressa's this pink haired, very small, sassy, young woman, roughly his age, who ends up embodying kind of, if I had to pin as close as possible, kind of an Ava meets Faye. And, she's more outspoken than Faye. Not more outspoken, but more like, silly and goofy, which Faye isn't, And, but she's also, calls Dren out on his stuff pretty quickly like Ava. But is a little unpredictable like Faye. So she's a pretty fun character. I think her arc is really fun. And she also looks so different than what you'd imagine this kind of sassy, spunky character would be. Or kind of with this kind of dark edge with his pink hair. I guess she has that new series came out, the League of Legends series. I don't know if anyone's watched that. There's a character in that who I forgot. I'm totally blanking on it, but she's a little like that character. So, so with the big world tree, it makes me kind of think of Norse mythology. It very much is, kind of Yggdrasil, giant world tree. Do we have characters that have got inspiration from gods and demigods? Very much. Yeah, you'll see in there's a lot of gods and demigods and more kind of mythology under. Yeah, Arcane. Yeah, thank you, Ben. Yeah, Arcane. So that's kind of where some inspiration from Tressa came, I think. Yeah, so we have a lot of gods and demigods in this world. Much more than in Farhaven, which is more just the Ronin are the highest tier. And we get the hint that Renelin, the creator of all things, of the Ronin and everything, is somehow watching over everything. And maybe he's good and bad. And we also know that there's a dark and light god in Farhaven. And we know the hint that the Thief Lords are trying to become that kind of dark version of it. The master of but in this one it's very prevalent. I mean, there's literally a giant dragon that's a god of chaos taking over all the sky, and there's a god of life who's kind of this, and all of them embody a different elemental kind of or actual creature. So god of chaos, dragon; god of life, a kind of living dryad tree, and so forth. HCG says should do a final stretch goal that enters all backers into raffle to be a character. Ooh, give everyone a chance that can't quite put down the money for that pledge level. That would be pretty epic. That's definitely one of the most popular levels, and I'm really excited. I think the writer's retreat is going to be so cool if anyone dives in and chooses the Eternal Tier. I would love that. I mean, obviously, but the reason of I think I love to write, and it's 5 days talking about craft and diving into the world and talking about world building and character arcs and helping you create your story from the beginning all the way to the end, or as much as we can do in 5 days. I think it would be amazing, and kind of creating that connection. But I think also creating characters is really cool. So I like the idea of doing a raffle. Yeah, I want to do some giveaways. So maybe even one of the last days we'll do a live where we can do a raffle for a character. And that might be really cool. We'll see how many people we can get for that. Thoughts of turning their own saga to films or television? Yeah, we've actually been in talk with some people, but we'll see where it goes. Or TTRPG. Any thoughts of making the saga into graphic novels? Graphic novels would be cool. That's probably one of the next things after the D&D campaign. Kickstarter's next. Then leatherbound books for the saga. 4 books leatherbound, and then 4 books leatherbound is the plan. And then going from there. I tried to back the little boss. I know, there's one more. It's going to get backed. I know. It's so cool. I'm so honored. And it's fun, too, because everyone gets a little say in it, Do they want to be a thief or, a guard or, and so, what is your background? Do you run the Ronin? Are you kind of a mischievous character? Are you a character of good? Are you lawful? Are you neutral? So your D&D characters get to be brought to life. So yeah, it's awesome. And it's just some really amazing people. We just had on the last Kickstarter, a few people back, and one of the backers, his uncle who used to come to the booth all the time. I won't mention them by name, but they're really cool. And his uncle passed, and now he immortalized him in the story. And so I'm so glad to bring that to life and continue that in some way. He'd come by the booth every year, San Diego Comic-Con, and so now he's going to be an indelible part of the story, the same way as an indelible part of my life. Would you rather have it be live action or animated if it happens? I would rather it be... It depends on the amount of money. The more money that I could get for, if it was A-tier quality, live action. Let's do Game of Thrones, Wheel Time-esque, Lord of the Rings adaptation. But if it wasn't as much, I know Arcane and some of these other ones are really expensive for animated. But I think animated, you can fudge it more. You can kind of get away with it being maybe having some more creativity and maybe having I don't know. I think you can make it more viable with an animated series, without it just becoming a total train wreck. I haven't seen too many animateds that become total train wrecks. I mean, there, but I can list 10 off the top of my head of live actions that are just fantasies gone wrong. Don't take that sentence out of context. Would you rather have, welcome Glenna. Okay, cool. Last question, and then everyone just check out the Kickstarter. I'm gonna probably wrap this up here in about a minute. So, I just wanted to say hi to everyone. I think Thursday we'll do another one. Yeah, Critical Role, Vox Machina style would be. I think they did great. That's it's a quick. It's like 30 minutes. It would be really fun to see that. At the very least, maybe the novellas in that kind of form, or maybe some part of the world in kind of. I kind of like the way Lord of the Rings unintentionally became that way. Like Hobbit became animated, and then as a kid I fell in love with The Hobbit, and then years it took Peter Jackson to, people until it was Peter Jackson who got the funding to make this epic thing. So maybe we'll get something animated, and but we're in talks with some people, so I'm excited to see where that comes out. Awesome, nice chat. Yeah. Use a DD campaign. Do you have subclasses you personally made? What's up, Duck Serenity? Ducks are nifty. Ducks are nifty. That's such an awesome. I do have a D&T campaign, or subclasses made in some races. I'd love if someone could want to build it off on the side a little bit, but obviously with the Davari and the Hidden and the Arbors and the Rinks, and then obviously the races of elves and dryads and sprites and things. And I actually could even probably start doing one on SKYTHIEF, but obviously it would not be as complex and as good as the Ronin Saga. But that one would be really easy to make, and I think that would be really cool. I think like a compendium, like a 40, 50-page compendium full of artwork where you could follow along with a different adventure going different places would be really cool. But yeah, so Realm Walkers is going to be about, I don't know for certain right now, but it looks to be about 300 or 400 pages per book, maybe 500 pages as it continues on. And it's going to be probably about 3 or 4 books right now. And but if it's awesome, I really want to dive back into book 5. But I think I'm going to do 2 books on this really quickly. And I think if it's like Cradle and some of the other series that become 10, 11, 12 books, but 200 or 300 or 400 pages a piece, I think it could just be really fun. And just a way that in between these 700, 800 page behemoths that are the Ronin Saga, these beautiful worlds quickly exposed, diving in with Dren and company, getting stronger, climbing the tree, advancing, and then back into Farhaven, and then back into this cool world. So I'm hoping that people can dive back and forth, see the Easter eggs between Farhaven and the Realm Walkers, and just, yeah, it's almost like when you read a chapter and you're like, I can't put down the chapter with Ava, and then it goes to a chapter with Gray or some other character you love. You're like, I don't want to read about this character now, but then you get invested in their story, and then you don't want to leave their character, and you're back with Ava, and you're like, wait a second, 20 minutes ago, all I wanted to read was Ava, but now I'm so invested with this character. So I'm hoping that's what SKYTHIEF becomes for everyone, that everyone will fall in love with it the same way what they did with the Ronin Saga, and they can will jump back and forth. And because they are 200 or 300 page stories, 400 page stories, San Diego Comic-Con brain. So anyway, I'm going to let everyone go. I am so excited. Yeah, that's a pretty funny idea, right? Thank you guys so much for joining. Check out the Kickstarter, share it. We'll do another one Thursday. So everyone's here Thursday, and I am honored that, let your friends know, see if if someone wants to join the writing retreat, that would be awesome. And, yeah, let's make this a reality. So I couldn't do this without you. Hearts in the chat, hearts from me, and love you guys, and I will see you guys Thursday. Bye, guys. Thank you.